Welcome everybody to the Bidness. My name is Curtis. I am the host and I play in a band called Monkey. Our co-host and returning champion is Brian. He plays in that same band, making the harpy noises. And today I am so excited. We have Lindsay McCarthy with the Skluttz and 13 Towers, and she also plays with the NPCs, which is a cool group that just crushes every ska band in the world into one ball and then adds a bunch of cheese and then fries it.
Oh yeah.
And then we got Charles Gagnon. He is coming all the way from Canada. He plays with Downtown Fiasco, one of the best names in ska history here, the Anti Non-Conformists. He also is in another one of those cheese mashups called the Housebound Ska Collective. Just deep fried, big ball of buttery. And all the way from San Diego, California, we have Raphael Pena. He is a band member with the Amalgamated in San Diego, and we go back. We played a couple shows with them back in the day, and so I'm super excited to have him on the show. How are you all doing?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So the show is very simple. We only have one question at the beginning and one question at the end. The question at the beginning of the show is, what did you do this year to keep from going absolutely insane during the COVID lockdown? You know, all these musicians just sitting on their hands. I wish I had a show. You guys had to get into gardening, bicycling, mountain climbing, decoupage, where you glue stuffs.
I did that.
What did you do to keep sane? Let's start that with Charles. Charles, in Canada, besides poutine, what did you do to stay sane?
I binge watched RuPaul's Drag Race.
I love RuPaul's Drag Race. Oh my gosh.
And so that got me through May. So that lasted about a couple of months. But in all seriousness, I basically just did as much music as I could. I'm super, 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 super lucky that I've been kind of in the studio game for about a decade now. And so I run my own studio out of my dad's basement. Thank you so much. And throughout lockdown, basically I recorded 3 EPs, all of the Housebound Ska Collective stuff that we've done, so we're on 9 tracks, a whole bunch of other like random wacky singles and demos and stuff that may or may never come out. Probably never. Actually, probably most of the stuff won't ever come out. But hey, it kept me sane, it kept me on the kit. And that's really, really, really what allowed me to keep going. That and my fantastic girlfriend who's around, and also
somewhere.
And then helping everybody move, because so many people around me have had different houses, temporary housing. You know, the pandemic was a whole bunch of a mess for everybody. So just kind of being there throughout a whole bunch of different moves, new apartments, new houses, new places was, yeah. So that was my 2020.
Wow.
How about you guys?
Hey, we're doing the show. Yes. No, I hear you, but there's been a lot of movement, and we live in big cities too, you know, in California, and to see San Francisco rents drop by like 13-14% is incredible.
Like 35-40%.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's still $1 million, but it's just not as totally ridiculous now.
And you can find parking?
Yeah, that's What's weird too, this is the weirdest thing, our areas are super dense with cars, right? Just cars everywhere. Do you guys listen to the band Cake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Sacramento, and I think their last album had a song called Long Line of Cars. And it's just this drone of like how many cars are in California. But anyway, these cars, as they're leaving, the city is quickly painting over the lanes. So making these big bicycle lanes in like weird shape so that it doesn't allow all these cars to get back in. And I'm like, I don't know if that's wise because this area has done this before.
Yeah.
I call it the accordion effect. It's just, so many people know people. So many people know. Well,
Usually actually correlates with the waves of ska.
Yes, yes. Ska goes up, people go away. People go, yeah. All right. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey.
Staring at the same four walls for a year. What did you do to keep yourself from going mad?
So I didn't get locked down. My job, I had to go to work every day still. So, and that work is particularly soul crushing without music on the side. So, we definitely, both of my bands, my main bands, the Skluttz and 13 Towers, we tried as best we could to do, like some socially distanced songwriting sessions and some virtual stuff. And we got some stuff done. 13 Towers recorded 3 songs this year in various different recording sessions, all masked up, and it was weird. And the Skluttz have 2. And so we're releasing those, slowly. One of them actually is out each, but the rest of them are, we're kind of, because I wish I had a studio in my basement.
Dad's basement, not mine.
My dad's basement. So we didn't get that many, but we got some, and that was really, really nice. And just to be able to still songwrite with people. And then on top of that, the whole NPC thing was like such a relief, you know what I mean? Josh started that. He messaged me and he's like, hey, I think I want to start this thing where people get together and they, and they record stuff and we put it together. And I think originally he thought it was just going to be like a couple of people, friends or whatever. And now now we're putting out, 60, 70 person tracks. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, there's
but
so
it's really
many.
Cool.
There's so many people on those tracks.
Doing that stuff.
Yeah, it's nuts, but for me, it's like that show you can't go to, because it's like all your friends, or everybody is there, and everybody's having a good time, and it looks like a party on the screen. And even though we couldn't all be there together, it was kind of that for us. It was a way to sort of still have that live music experience and still be able to do something fun and musical and kind of refresh your soul a little bit. So, yeah, I'm really grateful that came around and, all the ridiculousness that ensued.
Nice. Hey, Rip, you've been down in San Diego. San Diego is so close to the beach. I don't understand how anybody could have a bad time in San Diego, even during a pandemic. What did you do this last year to stay sane?
Well, I started learning guitar. I picked up a bass again. I started learning piano because I'm the singer, so I don't really have a whole lot of responsibilities in the band except for like writing songs and singing. So I wanted to, actually work on my musical education. So I started learning music theory and started picking up the guitar and started learning a lot, just so that I can be a better songwriter and so I can communicate better with my band, because I kind of always thought of myself as like the weak link in the band, because everybody else in the band has like college degrees in music and they're music teachers and they're all just extremely talented and gifted. And I'm just some guy from East San Diego. So,
hey,
I took it a lot more seriously.
By the way, you're only the weak link in the band if you don't load gear.
No, I always load gear. People at the shows are like, you're the singer, why are you carrying a drum? I said, well, because I want to start.
Look, if you're a singer and you don't help carry gear, that's like the number one sin to me. You gotta help carry the gear.
When I lead a band as a singer, I expect to have 2 roadies to carry my mic and my mic stand around.
Fetch you drinks.
Fetch my drinks.
We had a
Get my dry cleaning.
we had a keyboardist once who played with us for about like 3 or 4 months. And then one day I said, "Hey, you're late for practice." And he says, "Yeah, about that. You're going to have to pay me $25 to come to practice." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's all, "Well, I'm talking about we're going to need to change our contract." I'm like, contract? Yeah. What contract? Like, you're just a dude in a band. I'm a dude in a band.
This guy pulled this in like 2003 or 2004 when like the scene was just decimated and there was no money to be made anywhere, and you're playing to like 3 people on a Friday night anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, dude, where the fuck do you think the money is coming from?
Well, keep in mind that when he did this, it was right after we played not Viva Ska Vegas, but it was the other big ska festival in Vegas. And
Ska Circus?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was, it's so long ago, like 2006 or something. He fully pulled this like when we came back home. He's like, "We're going to have to renegotiate." And he told us, "I'm going to have a personal roadie to load my shit at a minimum of $200 per show."
What?
Meanwhile, everybody in the band was earning literally $10 a show. And I'm all, "Guess what? You're never going to get called again, and give me my damn CDs back."
You're in the wrong genre for that.
Yeah, you want that? You need to go get a job playing a bunch of crappy top 40 covers with a bunch of like 60-year-olds.
Yeah, for sure.
You will make $500 a show doing that shit.
Well, that's the thing. When you have non-ska people coming to play in a ska band, you gotta educate them about so much, about the culture, about the music, about the traditions.
Yeah.
About skinheads are not bad people, and so much. And because we've had some musicians who have come and sat in with us that were jazz players, and 20 skinheads show up at the show, and I'm like super excited. I'm like, "Yeah, all my friends are here," and they're like, "Oh my gosh." I'm like, no, don't worry, man, it's cool.
You have to tell them they're not that skinhead, they're that skinhead.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're that skinhead.
Well, sometimes they're both. They're like, "That's the poop,
It really depends on whether or not the boneheads show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We went to England and did a show in Brighton at like the cafe that all of the skinheads go to. And it was a real eye-opener because it was old, really sharp dressed, really British. And we didn't know what to do. I mean, we were kind of palling around with them like, "Hey, yeah, it's so great to see skins." And they're like, "What?" "Do not suck."
Three songs into our set, they're all like arms around each other's neck with beers in their hand, going, "Oh, you don't suck!"
Yeah.
I feel like that probably buys you some ska credit, right?
Bit.
Like if you can impress a group of British skinheads, then you have a little bit of extra ska street cred.
We got a bunch of because that was the first time we were out there, and we got a bunch of those guys back at a show. What was it? Like 15 years after the first time we went out there, something like that, which was 2019. It was the last time we were out in England. We played this place in Bournemouth, Kings or Queens, something, whatever.
King's Arms,
which there's like 900 pubs called the King's Arms in Great Britain.
Every town has one.
I'm not even kidding.
We're at the King's Arms. Which one?
Yeah.
It's like it's all "Welcome to Blighty, mate. We've got kings and we've got arms." That's what you got to choose from.
It still sounds awesome.
But yeah,
I've
like,
never gotten to do that.
A lot
I would do that in a hot minute.
It's a fun one. I like England a lot.
Yeah, England's super fun.
And we learned how to do it like on the DIY this last time, which was cool.
I'm curious how that the whole
actually works anymore.
Yeah, with the whole the
the
visa thing, right? They changed the visa process and everything over there, so it's going to be more difficult to do.
Which is still,
we're actually okay up here in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, of course you are. Fuck you. Canadians are cool everywhere. We get it.
But the Canadian government at the border is not cool. It's
No.
not cool. So we have a band, the Debonaires, in Southern California, and they attempted to cross the border without doing any of the paperwork. You got to pay like a taxes and stuff. You prepay like $250 Canadian, and then they allow you into the country. And then when you come back out, they calculate how many shows you did and say if you owe them more.
Yeah,
it was something very simple. Anyway, they decided that they were just going to say, "Hey, we're going to hang out with a friend." And he's like, "Oh, you're going to hang out with a friend? You got a lot of instruments there. We're going to do some recording with the friend." "Oh, you're going to do some recording? Great. What's your band? I've never heard of him." "Oh, the Debonaires." And he goes, "Well, your Facebook page says you have 15 dates." And so it was like, boink, they got ejected. So they missed their only appearance at the Victoria Ska Festival.
Oh.
And they are none of the members are ever allowed into Canada again.
Oh. They got a full band?
Yeah, Canada's serious about that.
it's actually the same thing for us going down to the States, except that it's a 10-year ban.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, it depends on what you did.
Yeah. No, actually,
What did you do?
it depends if you made it in or not. If you get stopped at the border, it's 10 years. If you have ICE come down and raid your show and pull you back out, it's for life.
Yeah.
So, and actually, we had to do that. Well, we started doing that about 7-8 years ago when the U.S. started really cracking down on Canadian bands going down. And, it was kind of like a tit for tat kind of a thing. And the other issue is we're tiny. We're like 30 million people. California has more people than us.
Yeah.
And, it'll be, you'll have like Megadeth coming down or some huge metal band.
Yeah.
And they're almost playing 2 bars down the street from you.
Oh.
So it's a venue. It's a big venue, but it's like 1,000-person venue when they come. It's not this huge thing, and it's kind of, well, why would anybody go see any of the local Montreal bands or local Toronto bands when you have like literally Real Big Fish coming down every other weekend?
Yeah.
It's that big of a band, and it's like, okay, well, if there are 1,000 people at the Real Big Fish show, there was nobody. Nobody.
The other shows.
Yeah. The only people that could contend against that is like maybe the Planet Smashers.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe a King Apparatus reunion would probably do that.
Shout out to another oldie Montreal band, Meacham and Mojolie.
Ah, nice. Did you ever? Did you ever listen to General Rudy?
Yeah, a couple times.
Those guys were our mates, man. They were super fun to hang out with.
We got to take them to Mexico for the first time. We took a bunch of baby Canadians to Tijuana for
Oh, wow.
Wait, Tijuana really count as Mexico, though?
What's that? Oh, you can definitely call Tijuana Mexico.
Depends on if you go to jail.
For the right price, you can call it whatever you want. Rip understands this because Rip probably has been to Tijuana more times than he can count. Just being from San Diego, that's the thing you do. And we went down there with this Canadian band, and I told everybody, we're going to leave the vehicle here. We're going to walk across with our guitar on our back. Watch the guitar. Don't leave it anywhere. Don't put it down. And for the love of God, if someone says, hey, follow me down this alleyway, do not follow them. And we go across there's like a little plaza you walk through, then there's a thing that you walk over a bridge, and you come down, and then there's another little like village, and then there's a second plaza that has like a really old timey arch, and you probably know what I'm talking about. It's like on the corner of Revolution and something.
Yeah.
So we're walking through that arch, and there's a bunch of like little outdoor cafes, and I think it was maybe their bassist or something was just like walking along, and I'm like, so anyway, and where'd he go? It was just so quick.
Dude, that was Luke, their like 19-year-old, like still in university, like guitar player. It was like the first time out of his like tiny ass little town that he grew up in. And he was like, we're like a week and a half in to him even being out of Canada and out of his small town. And like, we're, you know, like a week and a half, 2 weeks into this tour, and we're like taking him into Tijuana. Just like,
this is fun.
He's the same guy. There was a woman at one point in time, and this was horrible, and it's really good that everybody laughed it off. But she was doing the like, she could tell that he was just rosy cheeked, just kind of like super like shy, really, 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 really embarrassed to be like getting hit on by a streetwalker, and she was just loving it, and she was like, she's all up on it, trying to like get him, and she thought it was funny as hell, and he kept on like spinning around away from her, and at one point in time she had held on a little too hard, and he spun a little too fast, and he ended up like throwing her into a car.
Oh shit!
Oh
no! And like, she got up and she just laughed, and everybody around laughed, and everybody walked away. But I was like, that could have been so fucking bad. Right now.
Oh man! Yeah, so these younger Canadian guys, you know, they grew up watching Corner Gas, and like everything's totally cool, right? And they get down to Mexico, and they're just like, what is going on? And I literally. I looked over my shoulder. He was there. I looked over. He wasn't there. And I'm like, stop. Everybody stopped. And everybody just stopped right in the middle of the square. And I said, don't anybody go anywhere. And I just ran to the first alley I saw. And I saw him walking down the alley with some dude. He's like, oh, yeah, we have the greatest beers over here. Come on. And I'm all, no. No. I just grabbed him. And the guy's like, hey, I wasn't doing anything. And I'm like, you stay away. Shoo, that dog.
Did you play with Los Kung Fu Monkeys?
Yeah, Los Kung Fu Monkeys. Yeah, those guys are awesome.
We just did the Ska Parade tour with them. The only tour we got in 2020 was Ska Parade, and that was with Los Kung Fu, and they were freaking.
That was like right at the very beginning.
Very beginning. Yeah, so we did that whole tour, and it was really good. It was really good. I was like, okay, this year's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And then we came back, and they're like, everything's shutting down. I'm like, for a while? They're like, for like 2 years? I'm like,
foreseeable
oh
future.
my god.
Oh, I was so bummed. So the Skluttz had just recorded our very first EP, because that band's not that old, and we'd just done our first EP. We were so proud of it. We had we were trying so hard to book our EP release show, and we're like, gonna do it. It came out in February, and then everything got canceled. So we still, to this day, have not had an official EP release for an EP that's been out for a year. So it's such a sad day.
Yeah, we were supposed to record last March. We were gonna do a whole new album with Dub Robot, and it all got put on hold. We have all the songs written out. We're just kind of like dialing them in as much as we can before we go into the studio, but probably won't get back until the end of the year.
Yeah, definitely work with Dub Robot. Brian Wallace is
fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One of our favorite records was the C Spot, The Robbery, and so we told Brian, we like everything about the dynamics of this sound, and that's kind of, you know, what we envisioned for our next album. So he's like, oh yeah, I got it. So he's gonna actually come down here, and we're gonna record it at Ramona Music Center and use the studio there.
Nice.
And so he's just gonna come in and do all the recordings for us, and then mix and master it.
He used to have a full studio in Atascadero, and we recorded a song like Lost at Sea, and then we recorded songs that went on the next 2 or 3 albums after that. So we just kept filtering in songs from that recording experience.
Nice.
And then he sold that studio and bought a Frito-Lay truck, like the chips, a gigantic ugly milk truck, and he built a studio in that, and he would drive to your house and
so
record
sick.
you. Yeah.
That sounds like him.
Didn't he had an interim studio between the Atascadero and the Frito-Lay truck, and it was like a studio loft like space at like a porn studio. like vivid. Yeah, no, he told me this story once where he'd just be like, he'd like walk out in the hall and there'd just be like all the porn actors, like dudes like swinging like elephant trunks down below and
like smoking cigarettes, hanging out,
just, like smoking a cigarette before they went in and did another scene, and he's just like, you know, getting like a glass of water or whatever, and just like turn around like, hey, and just like walk back into his studio.
And that's when you hear stunt cock.
I can see him walking around with his white lab coat and his glasses.
I'm Professor Morgan McKinley Field.
Don't slap your ass, just get in there and fuck.
Oh my God, this show is taking a dive.
I'm sorry, I'll stop quoting Orgasmo.
Yeah, have you guys seen Orgasmo?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Amazing.
a man. Now you're from a man. Oh, man.
Okay.
Man.
Now you're a man.
I had friends in college that were obsessed with that movie, and I don't think there was a single day after it came out for like a while that we didn't hear them singing that song.
Oh,
I think
my
they even
God.
covered it one time on. They were in a
that's
punk band.
great.
I think they covered it.
It's so funny. If you guys get a chance, they did another movie when they were still in college. It's called Cannibal the Musical. And
I've heard of that.
that movie
Oh.
is so good.
It's so bad at the same time.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so low budget. And it's so good. All their songwriting skills are on point, you know, and they had songs like "Let's Build a Snowman. You can make it our best friend. You can make him tall, or you can make him not so tall. Snowman." Oh God.
I used to love watching the Mighty Boosh because they had so much great music in it. I mean, it was
I love the Mighty
incredibly
Boosh.
funny.
No, the
when they-
Boosh is the best.
Yeah.
The Boosh is
Yeah.
the best. Did you hear how they came up with that name?
No.
That troupe of actors / comedians has been working together for so long. They went to college together in England, and they've just done all these like different vignettes for TV and like live performances and stuff for years before the Mighty Boosh. And Julian Barrett, he's got a big afro wig because he's playing like a
With the
porn
door.
scenes, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And he comes out to like smoke a cigarette, and some little kid comes up and goes, "Oi, you got a mighty bush." he's like, "I have got a mighty bush," and that's how they came up with the name.
Ah,
Nice.
we watched a lot of Mighty Boosh.
Oh my Lord. I've been talking a lot about horrible histories. Do yourself a favor. At some point, look up Horrible Histories. It's on like 2 or 3 of the major providers. It's a UK show. It's meant for kids. And what they do is they get all these comedic actors to act out little vignettes of famous things that happened in history. But the famous thing has to include something that's absolutely disgusting. Right?
Oh.
It has to believe like, oh, in the 15th century, they believed if you put horse manure on your head, then your crops would grow. And so they do a skit about that. And
Hey,
it's
checks out, man. Checks
absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
So like drunk history, but for England and children.
Yeah. Some of the actors from that series part-time with the Boosh actors on Mighty Boosh and on other shows that they do. So
Gotcha.
anyway. Enough. Let's talk about the ska. Oh man.
Did any of you get any live shows in this year before they shut down?
We did a live stream from Amplified Ale Works in San Diego, and it was really cool. It was really strange to not have that crowd reaction. So it was just the band, and we're all kind of socially distanced, and my wife and like 3 or 4 other people, and we did this live stream, and it was cool. At least we got to get together and play some music.
Your wife and like 3 or 4 other people, so just any other ska show.
So like
Yeah, kind
another
of.
session.
In a basement.
Perfect.
You got
So
one in,
I mean, you
Charles?
got the real experience. You were good.
You know, the sad thing is actually we're in a basement right now.
Yes, we are. Doing a show.
Everybody's in a basement. Everybody.
You said you got one in, Charles?
Yeah, I joined up. I subbed in for a party band over the summer.
Okay.
Montreal actually completely opened all the way up during the summer.
Oh, wow.
Because cases were so low that, I mean, it was, they still had the socially distance, but they had like tables, right? So you could have like 10 people at a table.
Okay.
And then separated out 10 people at a table, separated out 10 people at a table. And so I subbed in for this party band, and we got one show in. We were booking all throughout the winter, all throughout the fall, because we were like, yeah, we beat this. And then the second wave came in, just like this massive truck, and we're like, nope. We had to cancel all of that, but we did get one show in the summer right before everything closed back down again.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Dang.
Crazy. Yeah, these are really weird times.
Supposed to do a flatbed truck show.
Oh, yeah.
Kurt worked his ass off on that.
A friend of mine, he does promotions in our hometown of San Jose, and he's like, I got this great idea. I think we can actually do it. You know, I need your help. Like, let's talk about it. And I was like, okay. So we got in, we started like getting into the meat of how we're going to do it. And he says, we're going to get a flatbed truck. We put all the band on the flatbed truck, and then we drive it down to a neighborhood, and we just start playing music. And people come out of their houses, and there's someone that just comes out with like a bullhorn and says, everybody stay 6 feet from each other, right? But enjoy the music. It's free. Play like a 20-minute set, and then we're going to drive that flatbed truck at like 15 miles an hour around the corner and to the next neighborhood, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do it 5 times in a row, so 5 20-minute sets.
Wow, that's
and
I
great.
feel like this is like Scott MacGyver. No. We can have a live show. I just need a flatbed truck, a bullhorn, and some super glue.
I've got some pocket lint. Brilliant.
By Jove, I think she's got it. No, so we were all ready to do it. And then he's like, yeah, it may get pulled at any moment. And then he calls up and he says, hey, we ran into the first snag. What's that? And he's like, they don't want anybody singing, because singing is like spraying aerosol.
But what about the horn players?
Yeah,
that was the second snag.
Yeah, so and I'm on top of a truck like 40 feet away from these people, and they're like, yeah, San Jose doesn't want it. Okay, yeah. Cool. City of San Jose doesn't want it. That's all right. We can play all the instrumentals. And he's all, and they don't want any horns. You're talking to a ska band, like vocals and horns. That's it. The rest of it is this ink.
Like, so sorry,
I gotta
we
say,
only want instrumental surf rock.
Yeah.
Actually, that would be perfect for like a black metal band. No one listens to the singer anyways.
Speaking of instrumental surf, one of my favorite bands, if you guys have never checked them out, you should check out a band called the Franks and Deans.
Yeah.
They're from Las Vegas. And what they do is this like punk rock rat pack mashup band, where they'll take like classic punk songs and kind of like take the music from that and then mash in like the lyrics from like, you know, Frank Sinatra or Dean Martin, Sammy, all these like era songs. So you'll end up with stuff like Rancid's Roots Radicals, setting the music to Splish Splash.
Yeah.
And it's like cool stuff. Yeah, no, it's really cool stuff. But they just
what's it called?
Out.
Franks and Deans?
Franks and Deans.
Franks and Deans.
Oh, I'm totally checking that out.
I only brought them up because they also put out a punk rock surf rock album that is freaking amazing if you love surf rock. It's all instrumental, and they have the greatest name for an album that is that, and that is Surf and Turf.
Yeah.
I'm like, you bastards.
That's how those guys at TK Oasis a couple of years ago in a house party or in a room party.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've shared the road with them a couple times, and I've like been going down in normal times to their monthly thing down at the Double Down and playing trumpet.
Nice.
And they
You
have
guys have so much music on the West Coast.
as if they need something to sell this awesome idea of a band. They also have a burlesque dancer that does the whole burlesque.
Oh, nice.
So
She was actually on the show the other day on the Bidness.
yeah,
That sounds like a great show.
it is a great
I
show.
would totally go see them live.
It's a little daunting playing with them because like we can handle a crowd pretty good, right? But
They pick the crowd up like a little like baby puppy by the scruff, and they're like, you will obey. And the crowd's just like, yes.
You have
did
never
all of this.
music.
Yeah, we did a tour from like Seattle all the way down to San Diego with them, and they were like, well, we've never done the full West Coast, so like you guys are going to headline every show. And I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll headline every show. After the third show, I'm like, could you please headline? Like once everybody in the room sees like, you know, a naked dancer, there's no other band that can follow.
How do you go on after that?
Unless they have like 2 naked dancers, and you know.
I mean,
So
You
then I
have to
started-
go Red Hot Chili Peppers
Right.
right?
with the sock.
You could
No,
just take your
you know
clothes off,
what?
maybe that would
You know
help.
what? Nobody wants that from Monkey.
The socks are so small. So small. So small.
God damn it. Hey, we got somebody, Tony Biondo saying hi, and John Roy, Smoke and Mirror Sound System. John Roy.
My buddy John
my
Roy.
brother in San Diego, RIP. I have Brian mastering.
Unsteady.
Oh, Brian is mastering his track, so he's the bomb. Yep, Unsteady.
Yes.
Great band.
So if anybody doesn't know by now, Smoke and Mirrors is kind of like what the Housebound Ska Collective and the NPCs are doing. But John Roy is a little bit of a musical mastermind. So with the other 2 projects that you guys are involved with, it's like, get everybody in. We want 75 horns. Ba, 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 ba. Like John Roy is a curator. They're doing the same thing, file sharing and everything.
Yeah.
I was working on something that he was working on a while back, but it kind of hit a... So I don't know what's going to go on with that. I'm hoping it comes out. It was a cool cover.
Is that from the drummer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you already do your recordings for that?
Yeah, I don't think it was part of this though. I think it was technically an NPCs project, but
got it.
I think he was involved somehow. But
Okay.
yeah, I know it was a cool cover. I'm really bummed about it.
Aw.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, so it was like a sort of like a trad ska or two-tone version of Incense and Peppermint.
Oh,
And
nice.
It came out really cool. It had like really interesting horns and harmonies and stuff, and I really liked it, but you know.
Yeah.
He's not throwing away any recordings.
Yeah.
He had a run-in with a member who did something bad, and
Yeah.
so he's removing that member from the recordings and then continuing on with that.
Yeah, I'm
So-
hoping it gets kind of reconfigured.
Yeah. I know he's done that with at least one album. I was just checking what the tracks were, but yeah. I think it'll come out. I think he'll
I hope so. I really
I
liked
think
it.
you'll see it in the end. I just did a
But
bunch
that
of
whole thing, I mean, everything that the Smoke and Mirror and Sound System has released has been so good.
Yeah.
So-
I just did a bunch of trumpet tracks for him, like while I was still in Hawaii, which was amazing because I lived in literally the loudest apartment I've ever lived in, and I was able to like cut some clean tracks out there. I was like, this is fucking crazy, and it was always like, all right, cool, I'm gonna actually do it. I got the line down. I'm ready to go. It's practiced, everything cool. Get it all set up, and like all of a sudden, like the parking lot on the back end would go silent, and the loudest intersection in the fucking known world would go silent. And I'd cut the track, and I'd be like, cool. And then as soon as I'd hit stop, it'd be like, fuck, beep, 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 beep. Like, what the fuck just happened?
They heard the trumpet, and so they're like,
Everybody stopped.
Between that and the naked dude on the terrace across from you, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it, dude.
John Roy is saying, he shall not be named torpedoed incense.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
We did some backstory on that after the live.
I like that he's essentially Voldemort now, so.
When we're done with this show, we go off live and we can all stay in the room, and like some people come in and say, hey, but we can continue like conversations not in the public spectrum.
So I got this mole. It's kind of weird.
I can take my shirt off then, right?
Yeah. Actually, it's preferred.
Oh, perfect.
Hey guys, I can make my butt cheeks talk. No, we have this thing called the after party. So we invite people from the queue to come join us. So it'll be fun.
Nice.
You get some people that are like, man, I haven't seen you in ages. Drop in.
You know, my favorite part about this show is that it just makes me like really look forward to like real live music, so that I can actually like cross paths with all you folks.
Oh
Yes.
Like
I get to see
this like green
you
room
at Supernova.
Yeah.
Yes. 13
That
hours
was-
playing, and you guys got added. I'm super pumped.
Now I just need to find somebody deserving of my ticket, both bowling with the Slackers and the Supernova weekend.
Oh, that's gonna be valuable. I bet you they're gonna sell out. I think if it becomes
I'm not gonna sell that to anybody.
if it becomes safe to have a festival show, I think they're gonna be one of the first ones, and I think everybody and their mom is gonna be there.
I mean, out here.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, out here in Montreal, there are all the festivals. They're starting to. There are talks about having all the usual 80,000 people festivals again.
Dang.
See,
They're supposed to have, like, out of everybody in the world, Rammstein's supposed to come to town. and you know those guys don't show up for a half-packed place.
No.
Well, Rammstein is cool because he'll burn up all the COVID.
Oh yeah,
Fire and fry.
It's almost is Rammstein almost like dropping into the bottom of the ocean?
Yeah, only with a lot more fire. Oh man.
I can't wait though. I'm gonna go to every dang show that I can possibly manage to get to. Everyone.
I'm just gonna sleep at the local club.
Right.
oh yeah.
I'm like, knock knock. Yeah, are you open? You asked me that like 10 minutes ago. Just
checking.
Just need to use the bathroom.
No, I've already. Kurt doesn't actually know. I've already plotted out our first show when we can do shows here.
Oh.
That's gonna be at the like super seedy, ridiculous, shitty sound systems, punk rock venue that can like comfortably house 35 people, including
Perfect.
staff and band. Yeah, no, it is great. It's fantastic.
We have this squat house in Montreal.
We want to come play the squat house.
It's. I'm not sure how they're doing now because of COVID. Because like the city got rid of all like the police warrants and stuff for like safety violations. So I'm really not sure how they're doing. But for about like a decade now, there's this place called Fatal that's basically literally a punk squat house with a stage.
Wow.
And it's basically shows right in the back of a train yard, basically shows every night. And then the cops come, guaranteed.
In the train yard.
We got to come play it. We got to play it.
At least since I've been in the band, we've only played one place like that. And that was in Denver. What were you going to say, Rip? Sorry.
I was going to ask, what are some of the strangest places that you've played?
I wish I played that. We were booked for a 420 show. Everybody else in the Anti Non-Conformists played and have played Fatal. I haven't played Fatal.
Nice.
What about you, Lindsay? What's the strangest place you've ever played?
I was trying to think. I think so. We went on like a little mini tour with 13 Towers, and we were supposed to play this bar in West Virginia that was like, I think it was in Morgantown or somewhere around there. I can't remember which, but it was supposed to be like an actual venue, and apparently it was a pretty nice venue. And the person who was booking it, like we were in West Virginia, and she was like, or I think they were like, nah, it fell through, but you can come play my house. And we were like, okay. So we went, and it was just her house, and there were a lot of cats, and it was just that person and
the worst.
One like neighbor or something came over, and I was like, well, I guess that's what we're playing. At least we'll be ready for tomorrow. It It was very awkward. I don't know how to describe the awkwardness of it, but it was a place. It had a roof.
That's fair.
So,
Love it.
Now, Charles, you have not played Vital.
No.
What's the weirdest place you've played, though?
Oh God, I don't have any. Like I haven't played enough shows to have like these really weird, awkward places.
Yeah.
Oh God, I forget what the name of this band was. We were opening for this band that was coming through Montreal. We tacked them on at the end of the lineup, and then these guys start coming in like the divas. And so it's not really so much that the place was weird. I mean, it was the shitty dive bar because what else is playing ska? But it was this weird hardcore band from Nova Scotia that starts coming in and like demanding, like it was the weirdest thing ever. The drummer was like, "Oh yeah, you can use my kit, but you can't use my cymbal stands." Like,
yeah,
what?
You can use the cymbals.
We had that once.
Well, it's just not the stand.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Hold it.
We had that one time. It was with the Bumpin' Uglies. The Bumpin' Uglies said we could use their drum set, but we couldn't use their cymbal stands, and that was like, what does that mean? That's the most indestructible part of a drum.
I was gonna say, aren't those the helmets?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, no, exactly. And it was like, and he was like, "Oh yeah," but he wasn't super clear about it. He was like, "Oh yeah, I have no problem lending the shells out to everybody." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay." So like normally what you do, but no, like literally he meant the shells, no hardware, just the drum shells. And I was like, "Oh wow, that's
okay."
The actual issue of setting up drum set is the hardware.
yeah."
This is
Like
not helping
breakables.
anything.
Okay, fine. But
Right.
the rest of it, like,
Right. Right.
We've had so many situations where someone withholds that type of information till the last second.
Uh-huh.
You're walking on stage, you've set all your amps up, and then the drummer starts taking off the drum set, and you're like, what's going on? It's like, yeah, I told you could use my throne. What are you talking about? And then the scramble to a packed house, 300 people packed in a 200-person room, and the drummer and like the girlfriends are all like holding drums over their heads, like running through the crowd going, ah! Just why?
What's
We
the weirdest place
played.
you ever played?
It was a condemned bowling alley called Mr. T's in L.A.
Haunted?
It was a great show. It was like Arise Roots, and I think it was the Delirians and like maybe the Debonaires. It was an amazing show. That was when I met Dub Robot. He had the Lander out front, and we were doing live dub sessions. But yeah, it was weird. It was like this condemned bowling alley, and we had a show there.
Nice.
Kurt, what's the weirdest place you've ever played?
I don't know. We've played some pretty weird places. We played a record store, like in between the record aisles. You know, Yo Gabba Gabba?
Yeah.
They had a road show, and we were the band, the backing band for the.
Oh, really?
drummer.
Oh, that's sick.
I think. Well, one of my favorite ones, there's this place called Vail, Colorado. It's like a really famous skiing area.
Skiing place.
And yeah, pinkies up. And it's got this this 10,000 foot peak, right? So it's way up there. And the air is so thin you can't breathe. We're going to have you play at the cafe at the top of the mountain. And I said, how are we going to get our gear up there? They said, in the gondola. And so it took like 6 gondolas going up the hill to get all of our equipment up there. And then it took us like another 20 minutes to get into the room because we were just like, we'd walk like 3 feet and we put it down, go.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
How do the horns work up there?
I mean, all that breath you gotta have. I can't.
Problem. They work very drunkenly. That's how the horns work.
Oh, I see.
For sure.
May I interject something really quick, Kurt?
Yes, you may.
Miss Celestina May says, LOL, the first show I saw of the Amalgamated was at a strip club.
Second strangest place we
I
play.
remember it.
I think you just
That's
got
my
called out.
wife.
Is that your
I
wife?
wasn't working at the strip club though.
Thanks for clarifying.
Was she giving the glare? She's like, eyes on
But there's nothing like
me.
playing your original music and seeing a guy get a lap dance to a ska song. That was pretty cool.
That would be entertaining. I think I would find that very entertaining.
That'll be all right. I go with an all ska, set for a strip club. That'd be all right.
Yeah. What's funny is the guy wasn't listening to the lyrics, but they were like, I like pineapple on my pizza. I eat cheese sticks all the time.
John Roy is saying the weirdest place he's ever played is Cog Factory in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh.
It was actually a cog factory, i.e. machine shop in the back, grinders and drill presses louder than the PA between two.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, we played a bar
And
in
Juan
Nova.
Carlos says, sexy ass rib.
Wait, were you the
Yes,
stripper?
he was.
No.
He was the male stripper. He's like, hey,
You
ladies.
gotta pay extra for all that.
It was a full review. He had his ska band backing him, and he was just like taking off his shirt, singing a song.
Most of the time when they have a male stripper, they have to do a fantasy thing, right? So there's like, I'm a doctor, I'm a fireman, I'm a
cowboy.
I'm a policeman, I'm a
Yeah,
cowboy,
whatever it is, yeah.
and Rip shows up as I'm the wacky inflatable arm guy in front of.
Or even just, I'm the lead singer of a ska band.
That's my side hustle.
He's all pick it up.
Do you ever see the musician stripper?
No.
That's
Oh.
true.
I think the weirdest place that this guy has ever taken me, as far as shows go, I think it was in Virginia actually, and it was the first tour I ever went on. It was like 2003, and I was in the band like 3 weeks before these guys were like, "Hey, we're going out on like a 25-day tour. You want to go?" I'm like, "Well, I don't got a job anyway, or any money. It doesn't pay anything. He's all $10 a day." I'm like, yeah, okay. So we're on the other side of the country, and he's like, "All right, we're playing this like house party out in Virginia, and we're driving, and we're driving, and we're driving, and we're in the middle of fucking nowhere, and we're driving to even more the middle of fucking nowhere, and then we turn a corner. He's like, "Yeah, no, this is the street," and this is before cell phones and Google Maps and all this stuff. So he's got the map of the United States, like big book out, and like highlighted routes and all this stuff, and he's like driving, and he's like looking at the map, and he's driving, and he turned down this street, and there's this like screen of trees on one side and this big open grass field on the other, with like 5 or 6 just abandoned, not like there's no foundation to these houses or anything, but like just abandoned on like cinder blocks, manufactured homes in the middle of this like grassy field.
Mhm.
And he's all like, "All right, we're here." We're like,
You're like, and I'm in a horror movie.
what the fuck is here? That was insane though. There was like 300 fucking crusties out from the middle of fuck all fucking Virginia.
Where in
At these
Virginia? Because
houses?
I live
I
in
have
Virginia.
no idea. I have zero idea where
Yeah,
it was in the Toolies.
It was in the
It was
cuts.
like it was in the cuts. It
cuts.
was nowhere, Virginia.
It was in the
Gotcha.
mountains.
Yeah.
But-
That was insane, and we broke a house and had to move to another house.
Another house available.
Like we literally
That's why.
like one of the houses like at some point in time, because the whole living room, and like they've like knocked walls out, so like they've destroyed like load bearing walls and all this shit to like make a big space for bands to play, and they've got like generators running and everything.
God, I just envision this looking
we're playing, we're like 3 songs into this shit, and like the whole crowd is like boom, 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 and the house just goes like not down to the ground, but just like something in the middle just like broke, and like everybody's like, "Well, we should go to the next house."
Everybody pick Pick it up. Pick
I
it
know
up.
you.
Pick it up.
I know you said it's in Virginia, but like in my head, I'm just picturing it being like one
In
of
West
those
Virginia?
nuclear tests
Yeah.
in the middle of the desert where there's just abandoned houses. And you're
Right.
like, Nick.
See, if I was going to do a show like that in the desert, I'd go to one of those like abandoned airplane hangar like things. So we've got all like the roads of airplanes, just like play 747 shows until we break all the planes.
Have you guys seen a movie called?
I was just
Green Room?
thinking.
It is exactly Green Room is exactly the experience that we had that day. Exactly, like the driving through and the trees and the green, and then like everything's
minus the like neo-Nazis.
Minus the neo-Nazis. It was like when I watched that movie, I was getting chills. I was like, oh my god, this is like feels like 2000 and whatever 5 when that happened.
Oh wow!
If you absolutely adore Patrick Stewart, watch that movie.
Okay.
I do not. Well, he is
that where
the
the
main
Green Room
villain.
Rockers got their name?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
This is a fairly newish movie, and like it's like I love Patrick Stewart like to death, and I love all the roles I've ever seen him in until this role. And he makes one of the absolute most terrifying villains you will ever watch on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that though.
Yeah,
I could see him being very good at being very bad.
And it's like he's so sickeningly bad, but so like calmly and coolly still Patrick Stewart, and like has that vibe about him. And you're like, fuck. Literally the last like 25 years of my life just got destroyed while watching the movie.
My childhood.
The main thing about Green Room is that it is very real for anybody who's ever been in a band. Showing up at that weird show,
especially in the genre and subculture we play in, like being all these adjacent punk and all this stuff going on. It's the places we would play.
So the story was definitely written by a band member, by someone who's been in a band before. You could tell, like it's dripping with I'm a band on tour and we got to make this happen. It just feels like you're on tour while you're watching the movie. And it's a very serious movie. It's a very scary movie. But if you have a chance, there's another movie called Uncle Peckerhead.
I've heard of that. Where did I hear of that?
That is on Amazon,
recently.
And it is so freaking awesome. Once again, you can tell that everybody behind that film has been in a band. Everybody, the actors, everybody. You can tell it's just dripping with like we've been on tour for like 6 days and we've run out of money and like we're trying to buy one bag of chips so everybody can like survive off the bag of chips. That sort of thing, right? And what happens is they employ this guy that's just like a bum guy, but he's like, hey, I got a van, I'll drive you. And he's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, let's do the tour. So they get in this guy's van, and it turns out this guy is a demon. He's literally a demon from hell. And but he's only a demon for 15 minutes a day. At midnight, he turns into a demon, and for 15 minutes a day, you better not be near him because he will rip the arms off and peel your eyelids back and just cut your head off. So they get into all these weird scenarios.
All that you don't need to watch the movie because Curtis loves telling all this.
No. But they get it. They get into all these.
I do love a crazy horror movie.
But you kind of got to know a little bit about the movie because with a name like Uncle Peckerhead, you're like, what is this? Like,
is this porn?
Yeah, it's not porn. It's not like backwoods stuff. It's like straight up band lifestyle. And they did it so good. They did it so good. It's so funny. With that being said, we should get to the second question. All right. So the second question, and this is the last question of the evening. We are asking band members all over the world to join us and to like get in the same headspace. And then we want to find out from you, have you come up with any unique ideas on how to engage other people in bands, other artists, other, creative people to not just start playing shows and start doing artwork when the time comes, but to like explode with all the awesomeness all at once. And I'm looking for I conceptualize this because someone said, well, behind every major pandemic, there's always been a renaissance that follows it. Black Plague, and then there's the Renaissance, and then 1812, and there's a Renaissance after it. what I'm looking for is the secret to causing that renaissance to happen. And I know that everybody has in the back of their head, they've been thinking for an entire year, like, man, I wish I could do shows. If shows were on right now, I would do this. So let's do a round of what you would do to energize people around you, to really take control of expression and to come out of the box swinging. And we'll start that with Rip. Rip, what would you do to assure other musicians, other artists, other people of talent that they should hit the ground running?
So are pyrotechnics an option?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Blow shit
Just
up.
not in clubs with low ceilings.
That's that's every club that we play in.
Hey.
And don't join Great Whites.
Oh, right.
Admittedly, everything will be an outdoor show to start. So go with fire.
No, I mean, what I've been really focusing on lately is just thinking a lot more about songwriting and the material that I'm coming up with, being a lot more conscious and conscientious and thinking about, I mean, I like love songs and I like writing feel-good songs, and that's cool, but there's a lot of problems, man. There's a lot of hurting people, and I think that ska music started out as ghetto people music. It's music for the underdog. It's music for the underprivileged and unappreciated. And how do I use my voice to matter and to make a difference for somebody else? You know, even if I'm just singing at a, you know, grimy little bar, because our songs get recorded, our songs go outside of our little box. So I've been thinking a lot more about that and, you know, the message that we're conveying. And so that's what I've been thinking a lot more about, what I can put my hands on and how I can make an impact.
Absolutely. I think of that so much. What are the right lyrics to say at the right time, and what is not so timely that it gets seen 10, 15 years down the line as, oh, that's the kind of crap that was coming out during that era. I don't want that. I want something that is timeless.
Yeah.
So there will always be a struggle. There will always be a proletariat and a bourgeois, like, right, with open ears and open eyes to problems around you, but don't be terribly specific. And that's a really weird line to walk. So I'm right there with you. Definitely. Let's go, Lindsay. Lindsay, what are your ideas? How would you energize people around you?
Well, I think a lot of the stuff that's going on right now is energizing people. Sort of, you know, even though we can't be together, things like Housebound Ska and things like NPCs and, you know, the Smoke and Mirrors, all these things with people creating together. It's not only building like a musical library that didn't exist before, but it's also creating a lot of connections that people didn't have. I didn't know hardly any of the people that I've been doing stuff in the NPCs with, but when live shows come back and 13 Towers of the Skluttz went on a tour, I bet you I know a ton of people I could call now, and we could get on shows together and, you know, be together and be able to have that music happen, you know, live instead of on the video chats and stuff that we've been doing all this time. And I think that's going to be just this overwhelming euphoric kind of feeling when that happens. And I agree about the lyrics. I think, like you said, every period of depression has a renaissance after it, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that is because you have people with creative souls and creative minds that are forced to live through this time, this thing that's happening, and all they can do is create. And so when it's over, you're left with this, you know, massive amount of stuff that you now have to get out because you weren't able to before. And I think that it is going to be just this absolute explosion of all the things people have been holding in and waiting until it was safe to let them out.
Right.
And I think it's kind of naturally going to happen, but at the same time, I'm going to do my best to facilitate as many of those shows as possible.
Yeah. Start working your magic, get other clubs and other bands to start talking about, like, how do we go about doing a safe venue? How do we go about creating a lively environment and getting people supercharged about it? Because I don't want to have sat on my butt for a year and then show up and it's just a club show.
Well, and I think some of it is going to be about supporting venues, and maybe even, you know, when if a new venue wants to open and they've got a new idea of how to do this, go support them. And, you know, even if you can't go to a show, buy a shirt, buy a whatever. And, you know, definitely I think people need to really, really reach out and start trying to help the venues, because without those places, you know, we're where we are right now, right? You need those places to exist. And I think a big push should happen to try to go and support those places once it's safe, and even in any way you can now, so that they're there when it's safe.
Absolutely. Support is where it's at. Charles! Charles! Charles in charge. Sir, what are your ideas? I mean, you got a unique angle because you're in Canada, and I think every person that I've ever met from Canada has a unique idea, because they're not Americans. Americans are always like, oh, everything's on fire, and Canadians are like, hold on, I gotta drink some maple syrup.
Oh yeah, no, we've been like I know.
Calling them out like that.
I know your national idiot has been gone for a few months now, but we were like up in Canada. Yeah, a lot of people were like super into that, but a lot of us up here were just kind of looking at that with a bit of popcorn, going, "Oh my God, am I so glad I'm not down there right now."
You bastards.
It's like literally when there's an accident on the side of the road, you're just kind of looking by, going, "Oh, that's on fire." But
oh dear Lord.
like I've been thinking a lot about resiliency kind of in general, because this isn't the first time the world has seen this kind of a problem, and we're expecting general disasters and catastrophes, and like, it's not a pandemic, it's a climate related issue. Like, we're expecting so much more of these to come time and time again, you know, in the next decade, in the next years or so. So even though it's not like, because I can't help but think of this in the broader context of, you know, the party is going to be sick when we get out of this, but if we're not smart about what we're doing, there's going to be issues coming down the road. And like, I consider myself super lucky, you know, as a drummer, to have access to a practice space in a studio that's still open, because I know so many other of my brothers out here in Montreal. Shout out to the Montreal Drummers Union, who's been super awesome, and this great Facebook group we've gotten together. But like, there are so many guys and girls who are stuck without a space to play their instrument during this pandemic, right? And I think that's even harder, especially for like us, where we can't softly play a drum in the party. And like, I know for me, a lot of what's been going through my mind is like, okay, well, I was super lucky to have my dad's basement during this pandemic, so I can continue making music. Now I want to make sure that I have a space that the next time this happens again, I can be more than just me in my dad's basement, right? We can be a whole bunch of people safely in this area. Mm-hmm. And that's actually what I'm working on now, is actually getting a music space up, an actual studio space up that's completely independent, where if, you know, a pandemic's always hard because it's, you know, virus, but if that would be this kind of a more resilient space that we could end up being, you know, if it's nothing else, it'll be a nice safe area for like touring bands to come stop by and hear a whole bunch of sofas and couches and like, let's make this a little bit easier after this.
Yeah.
You know, once you've gotten into Canada, but it's going to be, I'm actually working on right now getting a nice community-driven recording space up and running.
Sweet.
And so that's going to be, because I think that unfortunately it's even once all this is done, the online aspect is going to be a very important part for like musicians and music going forward anyways.
Mm-hmm.
You said something really interesting. You said community-driven recording space. Yeah. And that's really, really interesting because good recording is sometimes out of reach of a lot of people because of the cost of it.
Mm-hmm.
And having somewhere that is maybe funded independently or in a different way that could allow people to come in and record music that maybe would not have been able to afford it could be a really awesome way of fostering creativity in the future for a lot of young people, especially. Because, I mean, how old were you when you got your first chance to record something in the studio?
Oh God, I was 16.
Okay, well that's
because, but I was 16 because we didn't have enough money to go to a professional studio, so we were like, let's DIY this, and the whole band pitched in together, and we got a used for dirt cheap 8-input audio interface that was probably like mid-90s. It sounded like absolute garbage, but we were able to get a couple of SM58 clones from a pawn shop, plug those into that, and record. So it was like 15 years before what everyone's doing now, kind of scrambling for a sound card. That's kind of the reality we were in before. We're like, we're not good enough to go to a pro studio, but hey, we're going to make our music.
Nice.
That's what I mean though. Having somebody there who knows how to use the software.
Oh yeah.
Who knows how to actually take the, and maybe even teach, younger generations or anybody who wants to learn how to do that stuff. That as a community center would be such a unique resource.
Absolutely. Keep it going. We'll all come up there and record.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's I'll talk to you guys about this more later, like more.
In
the after party.
Dad's Basement
Dad's
Records.
Basement.
Yeah, call it
Dad's Basement Records, something like that.
Come on down, man. Come on down to Pops. Awesome. Well, you guys have been a great group of musicians. And so fun to talk to you guys. I can feel that there's warmth in the room, and there's great ideas, and there's great music happening out there. So I'm really happy to have you guys. So we've got Lindsay McCarthy with the Skluttz and 13 Towers, Charles Gagnon with the Anti Non-Conformists and Downtown Fiasco, and Raphael Pena all the way from San Diego with the Amalgamated Ska. So happy to have you guys on the Bidness. Yeah! I'll cut it in post.